Presentation is just starting, but
All the cameras going off.
pressure.
No, I'm
Okay.
really low again, so I get my test tomorrow and then.
Okay. Okay, I'm going to do introduction to the Maine Multicultural Center.
Have anything to eat? We haven't done anything about.
Okay, so everyone can mute themselves.
Okay, we'll think about it together.
Okay. Welcome to the Maine Multicultural Center's Education Committee. We are putting on the Multicultural Community Forum this evening. And a little bit about us. Our mission for the Maine Multicultural Center. We're a community-driven group representing the Bangor businesses, cultural and educational organizations. We promote community enrichment and economic growth by attracting, retaining, supporting, and integrating people of diverse cultures and backgrounds into Greater Bangor. Since the fall of 2016, we have provided welcoming services for new Mainers while celebrating and promoting the racial, cultural, ethnic diversity that already exists in our region. The Maine Multicultural Center offers presentations, conversations, community, teacher workshops, a database of resources, and opportunities for those in and around Bangor to meet neighbors and new friends, whether they are recent immigrants or longtime residents. A couple of housekeeping tasks. So please keep your microphone muted unless you're participating in the Q&A session, and the panelists as well. Questions and comments can be written in the chat box. We'll try to get to all the questions. So please, we have to take turns. Listen respectfully while others are speaking. Be direct and concise when posing a question or making a comment. Be tactful and kind when disagreeing with others. You can signal a question by either physically raising your hand or by using the computer images. There's little emoticons in the bottom that you can have a raised hand. There'll be a brief evaluation that we'll post in the chat at the end of the presentation. And please help us improve by taking the time to fill it out. And I believe that you're also going to get an email if you signed up. Thank you to the Maine Humanities Council for sponsoring Maine Multicultural Community Forums. And let's see, okay. And our introductor to our presenter couldn't be here with us physically tonight. So she has made a presentation, which I'm hoping I can get to. Going off again, there we go. So this is Ellen Conway, and she'll be introducing Mary. We have a very short introduction, which we hope will go. Sometimes it takes a few minutes to load.
Is YouTube misspelled?
I think that's right. I think
It
it's one
is
of the
right.
versions of it.
So maybe just cut and paste.
I would just cut and paste that into your browser.
Yeah.
Barb, and see if that works.
Or click it again. Someone suggested trying clicking it again.
Oh, well, let's get going.
It didn't look like it was actually hyperlinked.
Okay, we're back. Okay, well, I don't know if that worked or not, but here we are. Okay, we are back to Mary, our presenter for Literacy Volunteers of Bangor. Is nothing working?
Can you cut and paste the URL into your browser?
Okay, well, I'm back to Mary now, supposedly. Yeah, I tried that earlier, yeah. Yeah, Mary, you're muted.
You just want me to start in on the
Sure,
presentation?
yeah, if that didn't
Okay.
work, sorry, I thought
Yeah,
it would
that's-
work.
That's all right. Well, kudos to Ellen, who was wowing me anyway, because she was going to introduce me via YouTube. But very briefly, I can introduce myself and the organization that I've been, had the privilege of working with for almost 18 years. So can you see the screen now?
Yes, we can.
Yes.
Okay, perfect, perfect. So my name is Mary Marin Taylor, and like I said, I've been with Literacy for a long time, and it's just been such a pleasure to be able to meet literally thousands of adult students who we've had the pleasure of working with and really helping them have a more fulfilled or enriched life because they have access to the English language, whether it's with reading, writing, spelling, and tonight we're really talking about our immigrant population, and it's the ability to converse in English and understand our customs and our culture in the United States, and more importantly, right here in the Bangor area. So really at the core, Literacy Volunteers is about people. It's about the adults and families that we serve. It's about the volunteers who say, I can help. I want to be part of a solution. I want to make people feel welcome in our community. And so they volunteer to serve. And it's all about as well, our donors play a part because this is completely privately funded. And so it's really through our volunteers and donors that we're able to make this work year after year. And as you can see, it's 50+ years, and it's actually 52 years in just a couple of short weeks. So we're really proud of what we do. For many people, let me see, there you go. Many people don't realize that in our community, it's a lot of people have difficulty understanding text. And that number is as high as 20%. And you can see that there's shadows in these folks that are standing right over here. And it's because a lot of them really simply don't want to stand out, sometimes for different reasons. For example, for adults who have gone through our educational system, they may be reluctant to let people know that they don't read well because the expectation is that they should. And for people who are immigrants, there may be other sorts of reasons why they're reluctant to come forward. And we'll talk about that in a little while. But for the most part, these are invisible people that we really want to be able to help. And so we're really glad to be able to be part of that solution. When we're talking about Literacy Volunteers as a solution, it's not complicated. It was started in the early 60s by a woman who lived in Syracuse, New York. And let me just start, oh, I can't see you. Let me just start by asking, actually, with a show of hands, and I think you can do it with your little, what do you call that again? When you have little raised hands, you can either raise your hand or put a little hand emoji. The reactions, yeah. How many of you have heard of Literacy Volunteers at Bangor? Thumbs up, yes, okay. That's wonderful. And I do recognize a lot of people. Some of them are neighbors, like Ross Fisher. It's really good to see you. Some of them are volunteers, and some of them are new people to me. So it's really nice to see you. So thank you for joining us. But really, literacy volunteers is not a complicated solution. It's a simple, low cost, and it's all about community investment and solutions. And really what we do is rely on our volunteers to come forward and say, I want to be part of the solution. These are people who feel comfortable with the English language. They love to be able to coach or mentor or help other people. And we pair them with an adult. And this is a difference about how we are very different from the school system, because we do work with people who are 18 years of age and older. And so we pair them. It's a one-on-one match situation. So you get to have a very close relationship. Some of our tutors are with us tonight, and hopefully, you know, they are able to pipe in about a little bit about their experience later. But we have these pairs work together on goals that really that make most sense for the adult student who's coming forward. So there's a lot of motivation to learn. If you're saying it's not about learning the classics, I need to know how to get my driver's license in the United States. I'm very focused on that. And so that's how we can help. As it relates to the types of services that we offer English language learners, and sometimes you're going to hear me say ELL, an English language learner, or you've heard of ESL, English as a second language, or maybe you've even also heard ESOL, which is English speakers of other languages, because as you're going to hear from some of our students who are immigrants, you know, English is not their second language. We offer English language instruction. So it could be with conversation. It could be actually reading and writing and being able to spell English. I'm in the office, so there is a phone. We also have conversation partners or groups where people just get to practice everyday conversation, either one-on-one, playing tennis or walking or jogging, or in a group of people. And we also help with citizenship, as well as we do have book clubs for emerging readers, which include our immigrants too. This is just a chart. When I looked at some of the numbers over the past 6 years, it was interesting. And if you can see this, the blue bar is represented by our basic literacy students. Those are students who were born in the United States, probably right in this area, and have difficulty reading and writing, despite maybe even having gone to school and graduating from high school. So this represents basic literacy. The red bars represent our English language learners. If you see very small bars consistently, these are folks that are getting their high school diplomas, or they're studying for their high set, which is their general, it's kind of like what used to be the GED. So we partner, because we don't issue diplomas, high school diplomas, or test for that equivalency test. We work with our adult ed partners. So we typically have low numbers in those areas. And then the purple represents the number of people we served in that particular year. So I just wanted you to take note. This was our English language learners in 2015. That represented 200 adult English language learners. And at our high in 2019, we served, I believe it was 368 people, 364 people. That was a high for us in terms of total number of people that we served. But you can see by comparison, in the year where we served the most number of people, our English language learners were proportionally much less. I think we only had 100 that year, and still fewer last year. And you can start to see that trend go down. And I just want to see if anybody might want to venture to guess why that may have impacted the number of immigrants coming forward to ask for help. Was there anything going on in maybe 2016 politically?
Yeah.
So, I mean, I think the landscape changed for a lot of our immigrants. And in 2016, when Donald Trump became president, there was a hesitancy to come forward. And that, I think, directly impacted the number of English language learners. But as you can see, we're not a diverse community, but they have historically found us, and we hope they come back again. So like I said, we were 200 immigrants strong a couple of years ago, and we're doing half of that last year. So we hope that this helps to get the word out, and we certainly hope you're willing to share the information. Just briefly, we had last year, and you got to, remember that our year was impacted, though it was very strong, it was impacted by a fourth quarter where we essentially had to shut down. We were all staying at home for the fourth quarter. In our world, our fourth quarter ends June 30th. So at this point, we had served over 300 people, and they represented 31 different countries. You can see that most of the top 5 countries that we served were people coming from China, Mexico, Guatemala, Iran, and Colombia. And then, it drops off from there. Tonight we have representatives from Colombia and Haiti, which had 3 people. And then we also have, let me see, where are you? Ivory Coast was represented, and Iraq, which had a few more people. Anyway, oh, there you are, Iraq with 5 people. So you can see that it's just not all, there's a lot of ones and twosies here in terms of the number of people that we serve from a particular country. But these are the top ones. So that gives you a little bit of an understanding about who Literacy Volunteers is and what we're able to do when it comes to working with immigrants. And tonight I'm joined by one of our tutors, and she's been with us since 2016, and I've had the pleasure of working with Kathleen quite closely because she also helps me write grants. So, and she's a slave driver. I'll just say that. she's a very good motivator. I say that lovingly if you're not smiling, Kathleen. But she has 30 years of teaching experience. She has a master's in English. When she's with Literacy Volunteers, I think right now you have 3 different students that you're working with, and one of them is here represented tonight. And if you find Kathleen on Verona Island, she is like managing her homestead of organic farming. And I've been out there, and it's just a lovely place. You can kind of get a sense behind her. It's still light enough to see, her farm. But it's a pleasure for me to co-host with Kathleen tonight. So with that in mind, let me stop sharing. Kathleen, thank you again.
You're welcome.
And I think are all our panelists here? Ketson, I saw you a little while ago. So Ketson is here. Is Marie here? Or Yemi? My understanding is she was going to come. So it sounds like we have Intisar. And we're going to ask everybody to introduce themselves, but Intisar is here. John Lopez is here, Ketson is here, and I believe Marie will be joining us. She's the woman from the Ivory Coast. And so I think she'll be coming shortly, but I think we can get started if that's okay with everybody. Okay.
You want me to start, Mary, with the questions?
Yeah. And thank you, panelists, for joining us and being brave.
So I've talked to a few of you. I'm Kathleen Jenkins, and I've been with Literacy Volunteers for almost 5 years now. I think I've had 6 students, and I work with Mary writing grants, which I did a lot of when I was a public school and college teacher. So I'd just like to introduce the students, and then Mary and I are going to shift off and on posing questions, which I think John and Ketson and Intisar have gotten. So I guess I'll just start right off, and maybe we could start, just so we don't get confused. If everybody's comfortable, maybe we could go for Intisar to Ketson to John. Does that work out okay? To answer the questions? Okay. So the first thing that I think we'd all like to hear about is if you could introduce yourselves with some general information, where you were from, a little background of your life in your home country.
Hello, everybody. I am Intisar Akawawi. I am from Iraq. I came here almost will be 7 years here in Orono, Maine. And I came with my husband and 4 kids from Iraq, Baghdad. And now we like Maine, and it's almost adjust to Maine culture and weather and everything. Thank you.
John, do you want to go next? Or Ketson, sorry, Ketson.
Hi, everybody. My name is Ketson Dibuisson, and I'm from Haiti. Back in Haiti, I was living in a town, very small town. Like, you know, in Maine, we have a lot of small town. Every time I've traveled down east, I saw like Millbridge, Machias, and I remember my small town down in Haiti. And in Haiti, I finished my high school and I started with some college down in Haiti, but I didn't have a chance to finish because of the earthquake. My school was collapsed and then we have a lot of students die. And I couldn't finish my high school. And then from there, I traveled to Mexico. I lived in Mexico for 2 years from Mexico, and I came to the US. I have more story to tell you guys, but I'm gonna let somebody else to present.
We'll come back to your stories, Ketson.
Thank you, John.
All right. Good evening, everyone. Well, first of all, I would like to thank everybody for making some time to join this session. Thank you, Mary, for the invitation. Kathleen, nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
So my name is John Lopez. I'm originally from Colombia. I moved to the US 6 years ago. And for those of you that know a little bit about Colombia, I'm from the coffee region. For those of you that like Colombia coffee, very small town, surrounded by lots of coffee plantations, very tropical weather, beautiful weather, probably one of the things that I miss the most about the country, but I'll talk about that a little bit later. And happy to be here. And thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, John. Is Marie here or Yemi here yet?
Yes, I am. Can you see me?
Not yet. Oh, no, not yet.
No.
No, we can see the yellow bar. You're talking.
I don't know what I did wrong. Okay.
Is there something at the bottom of your screen that says stop video?
I did. I mean, I'm saying myself, but like that weird. So can I let me maybe come back? I don't know. Like,
Do you have, is there a red line over your video by any chance?
no.
No, the camera's on.
Okay. Hold on.
We can talk to us.
I think she's going to try to go and come back.
Okay.
That's what I'm guessing. What we can certainly continue and welcome Marie when she returns.
Sounds
Hopefully
good.
soon and with a camera. So let's do again a round robin where we talk with Intisar, Ketson, and then John, and hopefully Marie joins us. So a little bit, few of you have already said a little bit about when you moved to the United States, but if you could just talk about why you came to the United States. So
Yeah, we came like in the end of 2014, and my husband got accepted in University of Maine to study his PhD program. And in that time, I was like a housewife with 4 kids. And it was like so hard the first year when we came here. But by the time we get used to live here, and this program, Literacy Volunteer, it's like a dream for me when I found someone to talk. And that's it.
let me just make the connection. If people can see Beth's iPad, that would be Margaret Clancy, and she's waving. Margaret has been Intisar's tutor for the past 6 years through Literacy Volunteers. So I would dare say that Margaret, you've had a big reason why Intisar likes this area and feels very comfortable here.
That may be true, but I have to tell you, I have tears in my eyes right now. It's kind of hard for me to watch Intisar. She has come a long, long ways in her abilities with people in this area, and it's great that you're doing this, and I'm just so happy that she's a part of it. But whoa, it's a little hard for me to watch also. But yes, and her children have done extremely well in our schools, and they're a credit to to their family as well as to our community in Orono. So it's good.
So thank you. Thank you, both of you. It sounds like it's been a good match between the two of you.
If I could, I would like to just say one thing with regard to literacy volunteers. And Mary, this is you. You do a super job of matching people. And I don't know if it's, I'm sure it's true with our regular, US people, but with literacy, with ESL people, I mean, it's amazing. I've had two, and in both cases, you have just done a superb job in choosing, the person you're going to work with, and the connections, just come from there. But I give you a lot of credit for that.
Well, I don't do this work alone, but thank you very much. And there's a little bit of pixie dust you have to sprinkle on to make sure these matches work out.
I'm sure.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I see Marie is back, and we're going to come to you, Marie. Catch your breath. And we'll go to Ketson next. And Ketson, it's the reason why you came to the United States, or maybe to this area.
The reason why I came to United States, it's after like a very disaster, how we can call it, the earthquake down in Haiti, and then I didn't see any opportunity from my own country. And then it was so hard to get back after the earthquake. And then I had a tourism visa for Mexico. I went to Mexico. I was trying to stay in Mexico, and then I see things didn't work for me. And then I had the opportunity to come to United States, apply for a asylum. And then in 2014, November 2014, and then I take the chance and I get apply, and even I didn't have an answer right away, and they let me stay, and then until everything get in place together. That was, and then I think I moved to United States. It's because I think for more opportunity, and then to help myself, my family, everything like that.
So, natural disasters happen across the globe all the time. And if it's not happening in your area, you often don't think about, you're shocked, you watch the news, you empathize with the people in Haiti about how awful that had to be to have lived through the earthquake. But then the news pivots and we're on to the next natural disaster, the next crisis, or the next newsworthy story, and we forget about the people who are living there and left behind. So Ketson, you survived, quite literally.
I do, but I still have my mom, my little brother down there. And then I don't say things come back 100%, but now it's a little better. Even there is some other crises, but it's not the same thing like a natural disaster.
Okay.
Some other political stuff, but I think the country they're gonna find a way to go back. I don't know how that's gonna be, but I hope they're gonna find a way to go back.
I hope so. Can you remind us again when the earthquake happened?
That was happened in January 2010. January 2010.
Alrighty. Thank you. Thank you, Ketson. All right, John, what took you away from all those coffee plantations in the jungle with the tropics?
Well, so the reason I came to the US, basically, this is just one of these love stories. I basically came to the US, got married with a Mainer, and that's the reason why I changed, the nice weather, and now I embrace winter and, beautiful fall. I mean, which I love. But yeah, that was sort of the main reason.
You know, the other day you were talking about a Maine winter. John has been a student with Literacy Volunteers, but he's sort of graduated recently and become, he's been for a while a volunteer with us. He's a talented web designer. And so he's on our communications committee. And the other day he was sitting on our communications committee saying, this has been an easy winter. Yeah, this is not a problem at all. It looks like it's going to be spring soon, but we probably have one more snow. I don't know. You were talking like a Mainer, John. It was very funny.
After many years of, so I moved, I think it was mid-October 2014. And obviously the first winter, you never forget that. So the first, I don't know if some of you may recall that winter, but it was a long one. Yeah. And then when I think about it and think about this winter, it's like, well, this is nothing compared to what happened a few years ago. So yeah, I guess at this point I'm, just used to it.
You're hard.
Yeah.
That didn't take all that long. I'll just say it. Right? So I'm going to move on to Marie. And so welcome. We can see you now. That's wonderful.
Hi.
Hi. Marie, if you could do a couple of things, if you could introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself and where you're from, and then I'll ask you a follow-up question that these folks have been answering.
Okay. So my name is Marie Kwame, and I'm from, can you hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so I was saying that my name is Marie Kwame, and I'm from West Africa. And so I moved here in 2017, and so, yeah.
And what part of Western Africa are you from? What country?
Ivory Coast.
Ivory Coast, okay. And does that mean your first language is French?
French, yeah.
All right. Marie. So tell us a little bit why you came to the United States, and did you come to Bangor, the first place in the United States, or did you migrate from somewhere within the United States to come here?
So I came here straight here in Bangor, and I came with a student visa. So, yeah, and then I can see my teacher from adult learning phase. I don't know if she remember me, but yeah, I went to adult learning center first, and after, yeah, I went to EMCC and then Hassan.
So you came here to get an education, it sounds like, and you started with Barb Miller with the Learning Center. Yeah. Barb, you want to wave so people know the connection? Yeah, it's interesting. We're such a small community. And so then you went to Eastern Maine Community College. And now you're at Hassan?
Yes.
Oh, yes, okay. And what are you studying at Hassan?
I am in the nursing program right now.
All right. So you and Ketson have something in common. Ketson is, he'll be talking about his goals in a little bit, but he's interested in nursing too.
Okay.
Yes. All right. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. This will probably be an easy question. I've heard a little bit already about the weather in Maine, but I imagine in a state like Maine, which is not very diverse, there's a lot you miss about your culture. But could you tell us a little bit about what you miss about Haiti or Colombia or Ivory Coast or Iraq? You know, what is it that you really would like to have more of, or that you miss? Do you want in this story? You want to start?
Antisar, yeah. The most thing I miss from our community, like the very social community, and it is like I lived in Baghdad, a big city. It is very crowded, sometimes I feel here nobody live here because the streets mostly empty, and also it is very warm, and the kind of food in Baghdad is different. So I miss all of that, and that's it. The weather and food and the community.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah, thank you.
thanks.
Are you able to find some of the foods that you would have cooked with when you were in Baghdad here?
Sometimes now we can find some in Amazon, not like before. We don't know about Amazon here, but now sometimes. And if we travel to Portland or like other area, we can find some food. But here in Maine, like sometimes we change our style to cook anything available, but sometimes for treat ourselves, do something special.
I'm just curious, what are you going to order on Amazon?
So sometimes the kind of spice, we don't find it here, or some kind of dessert or special candy. And mostly I cook here at home what we want, but we order the missing thing.
So you're still cooking traditionally?
Yeah.
Yes, yeah.
Can I just throw in that Intisar does a really good job of giving Iraqi foods, whatever she can find here, she makes them Iraqi and they are delicious. Just
It is delicious cuisine. It really is. I love Iraqi food.
It is.
Yeah.
Well, I'm remembering now that I see you, that I believe I sat with you and your children at the literacy tea in Star about 3 years ago. I think I met you and Margaret there.
I remember I attended like there was a lunch maybe.
Yeah.
Or,
Yeah.
but I don't remember the faces.
I think it was early. It was probably 4 years ago. So
yeah, I was looking for a job and I give my email for somebody, but I don't remember.
Your English, yeah, your English is very much more sophisticated now than when we met the first time.
Yeah, I improved now. I did well. Yeah.
That's great.
Thanks.
Ketson, do you want to jump in and tell us? Is it the weather too that you miss? I feel like I have to apologize for Maine winter.
For sure, I'm gonna say the weather, the food, and a lot of when I left behind in Haiti. It's kind of same situation for Antissa because I have a lot of friends, but even now we have a very good connection because of the social media. For the social media, and then we stay connected. And then for food, and I don't think there is a very big difference, but the difference, I think, when my mom or anybody else cook the food, I enjoy the food the most so than when I cook the food. I don't really enjoy the food when I cook it. I don't know why. I miss that a lot. When I was living in Massachusetts with my cousin, I was like a very with Haitian food, we have store where we can find stuff like that. But here in Bangor, it's very different. There is a place, it's a tropical, I don't remember, but that place owned by somebody from Nigeria. They have some very good stuff you can find there. Angela. And but now I don't really know because of COVID, everything a little like going very slow. But I'm trying to up. He's not trying. I've been living in Maine for almost 4 years or 3 years, something like that. Trying to adapt with everything, the weather and the Maine culture, everything like that. But I'm not gonna lie to you. I miss my home country.
I'm
sure.
We can appreciate that.
John, what do you miss about Colombia other than the coffee?
Well, I think my answers are going to be very similar to those of Intizar and Ketson. Definitely the food. I think that's one of the things that I miss the most. It's just different, and obviously the weather. It's just getting used to the cold weather. Once you live in a place where it's warm and it's 70 all year long, it's kind of hard to get used to negatives and that sort of thing. But definitely weather, the food, and probably the people. I think Intizar said it before. I think it's just more social. People are more behave more as a community. You see people on the streets all the time, so you kind of get familiar with that, and which is very different from the first years here in Maine. I was like, well, I don't see that many people living here, and so yeah, that was a big difference. But definitely food, coffee, and the weather as well.
And probably mom's cooking is what I hear too. When it's coming to food. Yeah.
Yes, I do call my mom a few times a week, just trying to get some recipes, trying to see if I can cook something from home. And yeah.
Yeah.
Well, Maine people are also known in New England and even the United States of being kind of standoffish. Maine people are quiet and
Mhm,
don't get into other people's business so much. I think it's known for that. So you
mhm,
pick an area that might be different than New York or New Orleans or someplace where the typical U.S. citizen is more outgoing.
mhm.
Thank you, Marie. Tell us what do you miss from the Ivory Coast? Tell us about your food. You have to put on your mic.
I miss a lot of things. I miss the food. I miss the weather too, because like they said, it's very warm there, and then like when we got here, it's like cold, like freezing. So, and I do miss my family too, my friends. Like I do miss everything in Africa, but yeah.
Very
Have
good.
have you been able to find foods that are more traditional that you can cook with?
Oh yes, yes. Like in Amazon, like you can find everything, like all the recipes, like everything. We in my country we eat like a lot of cassava, or and I can find some stuff here too that we eat in my country, like plantain. I can like you can find plantain at Hannaford or um Walmart, which is good. So I don't really buy stuff like I don't have because like I don't really buy some stuff like on Amazon, but a few of them only the cassava couscous that I can find here. So it's the only thing that I buy from Amazon.
Well, I think over the past year, we all learned what Amazon could deliver to our doorstep. So it's become a whole new world. Thank you, Marie.
You're welcome.
So what are some, if all four of you can consider this next question, what are some of your greatest challenges to adjusting to life in the United States or in Maine, in this area? What are some of your greatest challenges? Intizar, we'll start with you.
I think the greatest challenge was the language, and it was everything different, like even the religion, culture, the weather, but the language, it solved a lot of problem. I remember I went with my kids to school. I didn't understand anything, and one day woman asked me and didn't answer her, and I heard somebody tell her she doesn't speak English. This sentence, I understood it. And it make me like, I almost cry, but I didn't do anything.
Yeah.
And then it was like the hardest part for me. And I heard I want to learn. I heard some people teach people by money, paying each hour. It was like hard to me because it's expensive paying every hour, and I didn't know about literacy volunteer until 2 months later from university.
So it was the university that helped connect you to literacy volunteers as a service?
Yeah,
Mhm.
that's and also the shopping school was different in different language, but the language solved a lot of problem to me. That's
Yeah.
the hardest part.
Mhm.
So a lot of what all of our literacy volunteers, tutors do is teach language, but kind of like what you're saying, Intisar, we have different ways of doing things. So if we think of like enrolling your children in school as learning a new system, a new way of doing something, it's
Yeah,
different. It's gonna be in, go ahead.
even the rules, I don't know what allowed to do, what's not allowed. It was confusing to me, and contact with people from United States or from Maine was very helpful, not just for language.
Yeah, but for understanding how we get things done.
Yeah,
Yes, yeah. Like one of the things that you've been able to do when you're here, while you're here, is get your driver's license, is my understanding from Margaret.
yeah. The first part I did in Maine, how to get a driving license. It was impossible to me to get it before. It's kind of, I thought something will happen to me if I do it, but I did it.
And because we're such a sparsely populated area, it's important for you to be able to get in a car and go places so you can get to someplace, right? I mean, it's not, you
Yeah.
can't just walk to your neighborhood.
Yeah, it was hard to stay a long day alone. And every time I need to go somewhere for my kids or for something, I have to wait for my husband. And he spent all day for work. That was like getting driving license. It's like helped me a lot.
A lot more independence, I'm sure. Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well, congratulations on that point, by the way.
thank you.
Yes. All right, Ketson, what would you say some of the greatest obstacles have been? And you didn't come here directly from Haiti. You came by way of Central America to Massachusetts and then Maine. So what are some of the obstacles in the United States for you? And if you, yeah.
I can say the language was one of them because here in United States is English. But while I was living in Massachusetts, I was able to find a lot of people speak Spanish. I speak Spanish also, and then that was a little easy for me when I go to like a office. If I can't speak in English, and then there is somebody speak Spanish, and then that was a little easy for me. But since I found school down in Massachusetts where they teach people like English, and then since the time I get connect with them, and then that was a game changer for me because there was a lot of African people speak English. That school name is, I think is International Institute. They are in Lowell, Massachusetts.
Mhm.
And those people was very helpful. And then by the time I was waiting to have a work authorization to start working in the country, I was steady with them for almost 6 months. And then they were teaching me a lot of things, how to get to do an interview for a job, how to get your license, a lot of things like that. And then that was very helpful. And then I think from there, they helped me to go to get a CNA certificate, everything like that. And I start to practice English with my family and like my cousin. That time I was living with my cousin. But I forget to tell you guys, I am married now with a Maine and living in Maine. I didn't say that. I didn't say that when I was introduced myself. And then now my wife speak only English. Now I have to speak English. But I think English, for some of us as immigrant, it's very big barrier for us, like a barrier language, because I also work with an organization, Men Mobile Health Program. I work with a lot of people who doesn't know nothing about English, and then I can see how that put a barrier for them to go to a doctor visit, to schedule an appointment. I think language is the biggest challenge for an immigrant in this country.
Well, Ketson, I'm amazed by your English, because I think the last time we had a conversation was maybe a year ago, because you are Kathleen is your tutor, Kathleen Jenkins, our co-moderator. And so the two of you have been working beautifully together. And I just have to thank you for all your hard work. And English is not your second language. It's not even your third language. It's your fourth language, right? Yeah.
Exactly. I speak Haitian, Creole, French, and Spanish, now English.
Bravo.
It's but sometimes they mix together. If sometimes I start with English and then I forget I put Spanish and I put Creole, French, thing like that. It's not easy to manage a lot of languages. It's not easy.
Well, I just wanted to say too, and in behalf of my diligent student, Ketson, he works with Haitian immigrants as a medical interpreter, which is a really tough job. He takes Haitians to get a dentist appointment or a mammogram or to the pharmacy, and he interprets in medical terms what the pharmacist has said, or what the mammogram result was, or if they have to go to the dentist. And it's a really difficult thing. It's different than a translator, a medical interpreter, but it's going to be really helpful, I think, because his goal, which we could talk about later, is to become a nurse, just like you, Marie.
Yes.
Yeah, and so I think that will be very helpful for him, having all this background experience with them in the medical field. I admire him very much for that.
Certainly a lot to be admired. So I think it's John and then Marie. Then the question remains, what was your greatest challenge when you came to the United States or to this area?
Yeah, so sorry. So I think, I mean, for me as well, for any immigrant, I think the greatest challenge is learning the language, right? So not speaking English makes everything difficult, and having to relearn how to do things, even the most simple things. That's one of the challenges. Even, how to make an appointment, how to get your driver's license, sort of things that should be simple become very difficult when you don't speak the language, and you're afraid to to even come forward to make a phone call. So those are things that are part of the journey, right? And sort of the challenges that always that come when you move to another country. So yeah, number one, just the language and having to relearn everything, and then trying to gain that context, right? How does the education system works? How can I get it? Go to school? How can I do certain things? So it's just relearning everything and gaining context about a lot of things.
Do you find yourself navigating for others, helping others who are maybe newer to the area and immigrating from other countries? Do you find you're helping them now?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I have a couple friends that have moved to Maine to complete their master's program at the University of Maine.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to help them as much as I can, obviously with things, getting them how to find information, where to get information, and how to ask for help. which is primarily, I think, one of the things that I try to encourage new people that come to me. Let's just ask for help. It's fine to ask for help, you know. So
Mhm.
Good. Well, you're paying it forward, John. That's, if you've ever heard that expression, you're helping others, you're paying it forward. All right, Marie, what are some of the obstacles you've had since you've come to the United States?
It's, I mean, it's the same thing like English. It's like at the beginning, like the first year when I get here, like it was very hard for me to say anything in English because the only English language that I was speaking before was French, and I moved here, so and like I had to learn everything, like he said, over, like learn new stuff, how to like how to get the help or something like that. So yeah, it was very hard, like to it was very hard.
Marie, I really admire you because you came from the Ivory Coast to the United States not knowing anybody.
Yeah, yeah,
really-
it was very hard, like
Yeah. And you've done a beautiful job. And I mean, I can only imagine if it were any one of us going to the Ivory Coast or Haiti or Iraq or Colombia, not knowing the native language and having to figure out everything. So it takes
Yeah.
a lot of courage, a lot of
Yeah.
courage.
Thank you. Yeah, it
And-
was very hard. Like I remember when I got like at the airport at New York City airport, and I was crying literally. I'm like, oh my God,
What have I done?
I'm gonna get help. So I was crying. I'm like, okay, like everybody was on a phone, people was walking by me. I'm like, okay, where do I have to go by here? Like where literally I don't know how to read. I don't know how to ask. So the only thing that came in my mind, I saw a security guy. I'm like, okay, I'm just gonna show them my passport and my like everything. So maybe if he read it, he will let me know where to go. So this is how I found like the best, like the good idea. So to help myself. So yeah, but I was crying. I was literally crying, and when I got here too, so it was hard. It was very difficult for me. But
Well, I think just with that story alone, you have some of us crying and or wanting to like take you under our wing and say, come, we can help take care of you. Although you've done a beautiful job by yourself. I can't imagine.
yeah,
Oh. Anyway, thank you all for sharing those stories. I want to make sure we keep going. So I know that we have other questions and you have
Yeah.
some too. So
Can we take some from the audience? We
Sure.
have some in the chat here.
We have a couple more questions for the panel and then a Q&A period set aside. If that is okay with everybody, in about 15 minutes, we'll open it up for questions.
Okay.
Okay, so
can you tell that Kathleen was a teacher? I love you. Okay, go ahead.
we're sticking to the agenda. But as the four panelists know who have worked with literacy volunteers, we invite 18-year-old adult and over adult students, and our organization is totally student-centered. Unlike public school and college in the US where I taught, where the teacher was kind of upfront and in charge, in literacy volunteers, Ketson or Marie or somebody comes and says, here's what I want to do. I want to get a license. I want to participate in my child's education. I want to improve my English or become a US citizen. And then you work with an individual tutor, as Margaret knows, and so on. And it's all about what the student wants to do and how we can help the student navigate that. So with that in mind, if you could just fill us in on what you and your tutor have worked on have you reached that goal? And are you continuing to work on goals with literacy volunteers? So, Star, did you have something in mind when you came to Literacy Volunteers 4 years ago that really was your main objective?
First, I start with Margaret, like to learn language and what I need to ask for rules for going to doctor, for what I have to do with my kids when they need something from school, and then driving license, and then I got work permission to work here, and I got a job first, and it was like hard for me to communicate, and I talk with Margaret every week what I did, what I heard, what I have to do for like hard situations. And in the beginning, I feel when they talk to me, I feel I don't understand anything. I just follow what they want me to do. And then in the end, I felt I am one of them. I don't feel any difference when they are talking about something. And then I left job when I got accepted in UMaine for a graduate school in computer engineering. And I'm still doing, and I get a TA position, like I'm studying and working the same time, also take care of my family. And I'm also continue doing every time. Margaret knows me well, so every time I try to do something new to improve myself and improve my family.
You've got a lot that you're working on to be a mother of four, working in a graduate program in engineering and a job. Wow.
Yeah, I'm the only girl in the department, especially in the graduate students. Mostly boys, mostly men. Sometimes I feel there is no girls to support me to like deal with her, doing homework together. It's mostly, and I ask, they try to find like female in this department, and they have a plan to do in the future. I'm the only one sacrifice myself maybe.
Well, thank you for representing us.
Thanks.
And I just add a couple of little things that from what Intisar has said. When she said that she got a job and she interviewed for her first job, you have to understand that she's worked very hard her entire life in Iraq as part of that community family, extended family that she lived in, but she had never had a job. And so when you're 30, I don't know, Intisar, were you like 32 maybe, or 31 when you applied for the job? It was kind of like, well, what have you been doing, all these years? Because most of us have had some job. You can say, well, yes, I worked here or there, and she never had that. And the whole thing about not ever having females, remember from the culture that she comes from, her ability to deal with men was very limited. And yet then you come here and it's expected that, you'll see somebody at the rec center, you'll see somebody, and on campus, and it doesn't matter if they're male or female, if you've seen them before, you stop, you speak, you talk, but that's not the culture that she came from. So there are lots of little innuendos that we don't even think about. And I wouldn't think about until Intisar would, talk with me about them or ask me questions. And then I would say, oh, of course, that's totally new and different, for you. And she's a quick study. I will say that, she picked up on things and was willing to ask and get at least my opinion on what it should be, and then move on from there. But it's I'm sure for each one of our four panelists, the changes in this country compared to where they're coming from are totally different in many ways, and we don't understand where they're coming from necessarily. So kudos to all of them.
Thank you. So Ketson, I know what you and your tutor have been working on. We've been working for a couple of years together, but maybe you could let everybody know what you've been working on, what you've learned, and what future goals you have to achieve.
I will start with the future goals. My goal is to go to get accepted in the nursing program as Marie Yema Kwame. I think she is already started. Me, that is my goal for the future. And I've been working with my tutor, which is Kathleen, for a very long time. We are working now, our current program is, we are working in a program they call Voxy. And the Voxy, it's where you have certain stuff you can learn and then work on them. Now I'm working in that Voxy for 2 hours every week. And I'm trying to not fail in everything. And I can say I'm doing well with Voxy, very well with Voxy. But I learned a lot of stuff from that program, because sometimes you can find something easy, and then when you go deeper with the program, and then you kind of found something a little challenging. But I really like that program. And now my tutor is helping me to navigating of the system, how to get to college, how to know about everything, about financial aid, everything like that, because it's not the same down in Haiti. And then I really appreciate the work she is doing with me, because all those stuff, they are new for me. And I don't want to forget to say so many thanks with Barbara Mille. She's the one who connect me with Literacy Volontaire. And thank you so much.
Barb has been a good friend to literacy volunteers, and we share a lot of students, and Ketson is a good one. So thank you again. When Ketson was talking about a program called Voxy, you know, during the time of COVID, a lot of our tutors and students were not meeting. And so this was one way we were able to get mobile apps for people to download on their phone or on their mobile devices, tablets, or even their laptops or computers, and continue to work on English acquisition or learning English on a specific program. So that's one of the ways that Ketson and Kathleen have continued to move forward, even though they haven't been able to meet in person yet. So thank you for sharing that, Ketson.
John, I see that one of the things you've achieved is you've gotten U.S. citizenship. Is that, am I right?
That is correct. Yes.
Congratulations.
2019. Thank you. Yes.
Was that working with a tutor? Or did you do that before or on your own?
I did it on my own, but I was at that time working with a tutor as well.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, very proud moment. It was very, very nice. So when I started working with literacy volunteers, I didn't have any specific goals. One of the things that when I first went to literacy's office and talked to Meredith, have the pleasure to work with Meredith, was that I just wanted to speak and write better. I just wanted to learn how to write better, how to speak better. And I think one of the great things about literacy volunteers is that they took the time to choose the right tutor. I think when Meredith told me, hey, we have this person here, his name is Dave, he's an English teacher and might be able to help you with your goals. I see that you're at this stage where you're sort of perfecting your English. So that, you know, Dave could be a great resource for you. And it worked out great. We'd have some really good conversations about, you know, very specific things about English, but we also talked about a lot of things and how to improve writing, you know, practicing how to write essays. One of my goals, hopefully this year, is to go to college. So we talked a little bit about that. And we also talked about like public speaking, how to, you know, how to do that a little bit better. So yeah, I think if there's one takeaway that I gotta say about literacy volunteers is that they truly want to make sure that you're successful with your tutor, and they take the time to find the right one. And I think that that's been a wonderful thing.
And Marie, I see one of your goals is also to become a US citizen. Are you still working on that?
For now, not yet because of the school. So I'm only focusing on my school right now.
And you're a junior at Husson, so you must be taking a lot of science classes. And are you starting your clinical?
Yeah, like summertime
Where are you going to do that?
at Northern Light.
And you work there now as a CNA, so you're a student and you have a job as well.
Yeah.
You're very busy. And you still have a tutor.
Yes, I do.
Okay, so your goal right now is you're a junior, to get through another year, graduate from college with your nursing degree.
Yep.
Do you plan on staying in Maine after you become a nurse?
Yeah. Yep. I'm planning to do that. Yep.
Good. That's wonderful. Great. For anybody who's listening, we are always looking for new students. We are always looking for new tutors. You don't have to be an English teacher to be a tutor. We have people from all types of backgrounds and careers and so on who have been really successful tutors. So if you know of folks who are new Mainers, or if you know of Maine people who would like to do some volunteering, we would love to have you send them to us. And hopefully
Okay.
we're going to be opening up a
Okay.
bit more in person. So as you meet other folks who are new to Maine, we'd love to reach out and continue to grow that way.
Okay. Yeah.
You're on mute, Mary.
Thanks.
Oh.
I know that we're close to the time where we say we'd give some Q&A, Barb. So I know that there's some questions in the chat, and I'm more than willing to open it up. And if there are none, we can go back. We have a few more questions too. So
Maybe you should go to the questions, and then if we have time before 7:30, we can go back to talking to the students.
Okay. So this is from Sheila. Is Sheila still here? She can just pop on.
Yes, I am.
Oh, thank you. There you are. Okay. So
yeah, I actually had two questions by the end of this. One was for the help that you give to non-immigrants on literacy. Do people come in with conditions like dyslexia, and do you have any special, approaches that you use? And the second question is, what kind of training do you give prospective tutors?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So as far as do we help people who are otherwise born and raised in the United States but have learning disabilities, and that prevents them from being able to read well? Yes, we are able to help those with dyslexia, although I would say that we are, you can get a master's degree in learning disabilities. So that, we provide training in 14 hours. So it's not going to cover a great deal about learning disabilities, but we do cover a piece of it. And what we've found is that when a student or an adult student is, comes to us, they're typically very motivated. They have things in their lives that are affecting their ability to get ahead or get by sometimes. And so with a patient, mentor, coach around content that is of extreme motivation or interest for them, they do find that there are gains that can be made with that, because it's not necessarily looking at the classics or things that are have no relevance to their lives. As adults, we need to be motivated by things that we need to tackle and that affect us. So the short answer is yes, we have a little, but we don't offer degrees in it. So I mean, I would say it's very limited. And then your second question, if you don't mind posing it one more time, I have ADHD.
It was, what kind of training do you give prospective tutors?
So the training that we give is specialized according to whether you'd like to work with an immigrant or you'd like to work with a person that wants to improve their reading and is a native language person. And it is in non-COVID times around 14 hours of in-person group training. And if it's during this past year, for example, tonight we have a class going on right now via Zoom. So it's a combination of learning some self-paced modules online and then taking some Zoom classes with an instructor, kind of like we're doing. And there is a book that goes along with that. But if anybody's interested in becoming a tutor and learning more, I would not hesitate to just reach out to me. I'll put my email in the chat so that you can reach out. The next tutor training we have is in a few months from now, but I'd love to begin the conversation. There might be some ways we can work together before that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
If I could just add to that too, after I got the training and started, well, for two things. One, one of my students was 74 and he had dropped out of school in about 4th grade because of learning issues, and his family needed him to work, but he came to me and he just wanted to be able to read Dr. Seuss book to his grandchildren. So we just worked on that goal, again, it's all student oriented, but I also found that with the various students I've had, that Literacy Volunteers has been really supportive if I need some resources, or when I started working on Voxy with Ketson, it was new to me too. So I had to, kind of contact them and figure out how I could get on as a teacher and how I could use that distance learning tool. So that, Mary and Meredith have always been really helpful to tutors, even after you get past the training. There's always help there, and from other tutors too. You have a mentor who's got more experience, like Margaret might be some new tutor's mentor, and you can talk to that person about whatever your need might be.
That's right. Welcome, Ketson's. Do you want to introduce us to somebody who's sitting on your lap now?
I have with me Mr. Lorenzo. He's 16 months. You want to say hi? Yeah.
Hi, Lorenzo.
So sweet. Hello, Lorenzo. I have another question. Thank you for introducing us, Ketson. This one's from Humam. And the question, if you want to ask it yourself, I can see you're still here. So would you like to ask your question?
Yeah, sure. Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Hello. So the question is about what you presented in your slideshow, all the numbers that you have in your charts. So the people that you show that they're studying English language, are these all the people residing in Bangor and all the surrounding areas, immigrants, or are they, represent different categories, like let's say non-immigrants or students who have maybe we're here and they left? That was, yeah, thanks.
That was your question. So yes, the people who are part of the 31 different countries that we're serving last year was almost 100 ESL, English language learners. They're in our area, number one, and they do represent a variety of groups. So some of them are immigrants, some of them are here studying and here on student visas and intend to go back to their home countries. Others intend to be able to stay here. Does that answer your question, Humam?
Yes.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thanks for joining us, by the way.
You're welcome.
Claire, are you still here? You had a question for John. And I don't know if Claire is still here, but she wanted to know if your name was John originally.
Yes,
So it was not Juan?
it wasn't Juan.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a funny thing. When my previous job, that was one of the questions that I will get asked most of the time if I did change my name. If I change it from Juan to John. And then when I came here, I didn't know that John was such a common name. But yeah.
And while we're talking about names, you want to talk about your full name?
My full name?
Mhm.
Yeah. So will be John William Lopez Valencia. So as some of you might know, in Latin America, we use two last names, mother and father. So Lopez from my dad, Valencia from my mom. Very long name. Then you have the William middle name. So yeah, quite a long one.
And for short, you just use your first name and your dad's name, given last name.
Mhm.
John Lopez. Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Ben, Claire's not here. She could have had more than she bargained for for an answer. Mom, you said mom's cooking always wins. I agree. And I will agree with Ketson. It's always better if somebody else makes it, particularly if mom makes it. It's not the same if you make it. Are there any other questions that I'm missing? I'm not seeing anything. Although there are some really nice comments. I hope you're following. Hola, William.
Yeah, I have a question.
Sure.
I was wondering if anyone had shopped at Angela's International Cuisine store downtown, if anyone is finding what they need there, or if it has to be through Amazon.
It's International Tastes and Styles.
Her store is closed now, if I remember, because of the COVID. So she's closed now.
Oh, okay.
So that's why we use Amazon to get our stuff. Yeah.
Well, hopefully she'll be able to reopen.
Yeah.
If I could just reiterate, Sally Dobris is somewhere here. Are you still here, Sally? But I think it's just worth echoing. She actually said in the comments, panelists, and your courage and accomplishments are awesome. I tried to learn a few Arabic words from my Iraqi student, and it was incredibly challenging and made me aware of what an effort it has taken for all of you to reach your goals. Thank you. So I think, she would be joined by many. I'm humbled. I know a little French and I grew up around it. And still, I'm ashamed to say I can't speak it after all those years. And here you are learning another language and, learning another culture, and sometimes more than one language. So yeah, bravo.
Well, it's impressive too. When I look at Marie coming by herself as a 22-year-old to Bangor, and then, going to Job Corps, and then, now a third-year nursing student, the science classes and the labs, and it must be so challenging. You've come so far. I'm really proud of you.
Thank you.
And John is an engineer and web designer, and Inisar is a computer engineer. I mean, Ketson, you've done amazing accomplishments, all of you.
I think one of the things that we can all take away is that you make our community stronger by coming here. And you make our community a more diverse and better place. So thank you for having the courage to find us on the map and stay and be with us. So I would just I know that we're really close to time, and I don't know if it makes sense. This is a good place to break unless there are other questions, but I'm just so impressed that, some of these students I'm meeting for the first time, like like Marie right now. And anyway, just so glad to have you here and to have you participate. So thank you. And Bill and Mary Phillips, I can see you in your living room. Thank you for asking us to do this program. You asked us a year ago, and then there was a pandemic. And so, you know, you remembered and you asked us back. So thank you so much.
I'd like to just propose too, I think, you know, we're hopefully going to be out of the pandemic in the next 6 months, but I think maybe it would be a good idea for us to get together with food from all these countries.
Yeah.
I think that would really be cool if we could meet at literacy
Yeah.
volunteers of the Multicultural Center and bring our cultural dishes and share them together.
Yeah. I really love
Well,
that.
yeah, one of the
Totally.
programs that we do through the Maine Multicultural Center's Education Committee is called Speak to Me, which originally began with literacy volunteers, which is a potluck dinner, so that we can all learn from each other internationally. So we hope post-pandemic we can do it again.
Mhm.
We did a few online, playing some games, but it's just not the same as a potluck dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah, food's necessary, I think, for the
Yeah. And I know a couple of these faces from our various food themed events. So very good. Yeah, so we have a link before you go to do the survey that John is putting in the chat here. So if you could take a minute, that would help us to improve. Not that you guys need any improvement. You did a great job.
Yeah, you sure did.
On my part, there stands to reason.
Yeah.
So thank you all for coming. We loved hearing from you. And even if it took a year, it was well worth it.
Thanks for being persistent.
Nice to meet everybody. Thank you so much.
Yeah.
Thanks for
Thank you
coming.
guys too. Yeah. Thank you for all your help.
Thank you, Marie,
Like,
Interstar,
yeah.
John,
Thank you.
Son, Mary, Kathleen, and Margaret.
You're welcome.
So,
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you guys. Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Good night.
Good night.
Thanks so much.
Goodbye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.
Okay.